Good evening and welcome to the program tonight. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. We have Meresha Awiti as our sign language interpreter. We have a poll running tonight on Checkpoint at KTN News at Yvonne Okwara. We're asking you to rate the performance of the Jubilee administration 3 years on. Please do participate in that poll. We'll be taking a look at your views later on in this bulletin. But first, our top stories tonight. We start off with the Supreme Court woes. 9 residents of Migori County have written to the Judicial Service Commission seeking the removal of Supreme Court Judge Jackton Ojwang. The villagers who lost in the Supreme Court in a land dispute case with the Migori County government claim the judge was biased and that he allegedly received a favor from the county government in the form of refurbishment of a road leading to his rural home in Migori. KTN's Murimi Mwangi begins our coverage with a petition seeking the removal of yet a second Supreme Court judge over alleged corruption.
Less than a month after the Judicial Service Commission recommended investigation of Supreme Court Judge Philip Tunoi of the now infamous 200 million shillings bribery saga, a second petition seeking the removal of yet another Supreme Court judge has landed at the JSC, this time Justice Jackton Ojwang. And it has all to do with the construction of a feeder road by the Migori County government connecting Justice Ojwang's rural home in Uriri, Migori County to the Kakrao-Ogwethi Road in 2014, at a time when Justice Ojwang was among the 5 Supreme Court judges hearing an appeal emanating from an 11-year-old land dispute between a group of villagers from Migori and the former Awendo Town Council. The villagers lost in the case and 9 of them have now written to the Judicial Service Commission seeking the removal of the judge, whom they say may have been biased in the case, as Uriri sub-county, where he comes from, is also home to Migori Governor Okoth Obado, whose county government was the main applicant in the dispute. In an accompanying affidavit to the petition presented before the JSC on March 11th, one of the petitioners, Nelson Odwar Onyango, claims that the construction of the said feeder road was a blatant diversion of public resources and amounts to corruption and abuse of office, a basis upon which he and 8 others want the JSC to unseat the judge over alleged gross misconduct. The genesis of Justice Ojwang's present tribulations hail from a ruling entered by the Supreme Court on May 6th last year, when the highest court on the land allowed the Awendo Town Council to file an appeal against the issuance of title deeds to a group of Migori squatters whose land had been forcibly acquired by the defunct Awendo Town Council for the purpose of setting up a sugarcane plantation. The fate of Justice Ojwang now lies with the Judicial Service Commission, which is mandated by the Constitution to review the petition and either dismiss it or forward it to the President if it discloses a ground for the removal of a judge from office. Already, the fate of his fellow judge, 72-year-old Philip Tunoi, is before a 7-member tribunal, which was set up by President Uhuru Kenyatta on the recommendations of the Judicial Service Commission. And this petition to remove Justice Ojwang dents the highest court in the land even further, at a time when Supreme Court President Chief Justice Dr. Willy Mutunga is set to retire in June. His deputy, Kalpana Rawal, is still grappling with a court case where she is opposed to a JSC decision to retire her at the age of 72 instead of 74, which he says was her retirement age as stipulated in the former constitution under which she was employed. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
Now, the much-hyped March 31st Jubilee merger will not take place after all if latest ongoings in the ruling coalition are anything to go by. A section of Jubilee members spoken to and also interviewed by KTN say just like the initial Jubilee Alliance Party, the formation of Jubilee Party of Kenya by end month is far-fetched. This has been confirmed by the formation of a new party by the pastoralist community within Jubilee, who are set to register their new party any time after Tuesday next week. Our political affairs reporter Duncan Hayemba now reports.
For several months now, the two men at the helm of the governing coalition have been singing only song, that of forming a joint party for 2017.
Jubilee! Mheshimiwa Rais, watu washakubali. Turehamwe, tuko pamoja, kimwiki bagenge, tunaungana.
But with less than a year and a half before the next general election, some band members appear to be on a totally different page of the song sheet.
Oh, I'm telling Uhuru, you are our father. Wewe ndiye baba yetu, wewe ndiye president wetu. Lakini sikiza opinion ya watu vile wanakuambia ground juu ya kuwa na hii maneno inaitwa Jubilee ambayo imefail kila pahali.
Only this past week, over 70 elected leaders from the pastoral community unanimously agreed to form their own political party. And KTN News has now confirmed that those plans are firmly on course.
Setting up a new party today, so we are not into that story of of coalitions folding up there are other parties to form one huge, because we are not even a member of any of those coalitions. So it's a different ball game, and I think we are registering a new party and we will be asking our members to contest.
The leaders say their regions have been neglected for years and now feel it's time for a party of their own that will focus on their interests as a community. The formation of the new party was spearheaded by Senators Bill Okero and Yusuf Haji, Senate Speaker Ekwe Thuro from the Jubilee wing, and ODM Star Badge Member of Parliament Mohamed Elmi. National Assembly Majority Leader Eden Duale, who did not attend the meeting, was left out and is said to be opposed to the idea.
Like now, my good friend Duale, he called me yesterday. He told me, Sakuda, hii kitu achaneni nayo kwa sababu ni Elmi na Bill na Haji na ndio na Ekwe Thuro, speaker ndio wanasukuma, so mwachana hiyo kitu kabisa. Tukamwambia no. How can you just dismiss a meeting, a revolution of leaders without coming first to say what led you to this?
It's not surprising. There'll be people who will oppose. I mean, that's politics. There'll be people from across the pastoral community who will be opposed to it because it's not in their interest.
And just to set the record straight regarding the much-hyped March 31st merger, Kajiado West lawmaker says Jubilee Party of Kenya is dead on arrival.
And that's why up to today, the agreement that was supposed to be signed on the 31st of March for the official merger of Jubilee is not happening. Why? Because there are voices that are not yet contented that is the right direction to go.
Jubilee sources say a good number of MPs are not comfortable with the idea of forming one party, fears that have been confirmed by the resurgence of the independent party KANU in South Rift.
I told the president, the reason why I am not for Jubilee, because I foresee a situation like Kajiado Central. What happened in Kajiado Central was it was our own mess. Because what we did was, the president, yes, Uhuru will become the president. Ndio huyu atakuwa rais wa Kenya 2017. But he will not have parliament. Because if you only have one party, and we all know how nominations are done, you will lose all the strong candidates and they will go to the opposition. And you will be a lame president in parliament, leading, but you don't have the house.
The pastoralist community leaders already have a lineup shaping up. 21 members of the executive committee will meet on Tuesday next week to fine-tune their plan and then proceed and register their new political party. The party will be chaired by a leader from the Maasai community. Then a secretary general will be picked from either the Turkana or Pokot community. Formation of a new outfit might have political ramifications for Deputy President William Ruto, which essentially means his political party support base in the Rift Valley region will now be confined in the North Rift and partially South Rift, since Kajiado and Narok counties will shift their allegiance to the Pastoralist Party. Duncan Hemba, KTN News.
Deputy President William Ruto is urging Kenyans to embrace the new Jubilee Party. Ruto says the move to bring together all political parties affiliated to the Jubilee coalition under the Jubilee Party is aimed at forming a strong party that would accommodate all Kenyans. He urged those opposed to the move to see the advantage of having one unifying party rather than small ethnic-based parties. Ruto was speaking this afternoon in Kisii County.
Hii serikali ya Jubilee tuliunda kwa kuunganisha chama ya TNA na URP na Ford People na New Ford Kenya na UDF na basi ingine ya kiraitu huko na ingine, lakini hiyo kiraka tunasema 2017 sisi tunataka kuunganisha hiyo chama yote ikuwe chama moja ya Jubilee, ndio Kenya iungane iwe kitu kimoja. Ninyi mnakubaliana na sisi ama Mungu na plan nyingine? Mnakubaliana na sisi jameni? Kwa sababu tayari nyinyi wa Kisii mmeonyesha ya kwamba Kenya hii ni yetu sisi zote. Tulete jamii zote za Kenya, dini zote za Kenya, watu kutoka sehemu yote ya Kenya pamoja, ndio tuweze tushirikiane tujenge taifa hii kwa pamoja.
Former ruling party KANU is saying it will not honor summons by IEBC to give its side of the story on allegations of rigging in the recently held Kericho senatorial by-election. KANU chair Gideon Moi, however, insists that the mini polls were flawed. The party MPs also accused Jubilee of unfulfilled election promises.
Mimi kama mjumbe ya Kerio Valley, sisi tumeambiwa tumetengewa Lamu kutoka Inamoi, Parwesa mpaka Kolon. Hiyo Lamu iko wapi? Hatutaki tutengewe mpaka tunatengwa. Kwani sisi tuko Jubilee au tuko nje? Sisi tuko Jubilee.
Mwaka wa kwanza, what did you do? The second year we allocated over 1.7 trillion. The third year we allocated over 2 trillion. Hiyo 2 trillion imefika hapa. Na watu walituambia ati kama huko Jubilee ati huko Kod. My friend, Jubilee sio alpha na omega. Wana Kod sio alpha na omega.
Wale wanatueleza sisi endeni continue, okay, endeni kuona IBC, tukutane na hawa sijui nini. Ile kitu ningependa niwaulize, kwa mahakama ya afisi mbuzi atapata haki?